Whatever your reasons, taking a step back to reevaluate your life, asking yourself important questions to discover what makes you happiest, and simply putting time aside each day, week, month to relax, pamper, and indulge is a fantastic idea and is something everyone should do. Today on Our Space, we meet some people who need a little me time. First, we'll learn that sometimes it is all about you. Girlfriend of nearly 7 years had an emotional affair, and I don't know if more happened either. Hi, I've been lurking for about a month since I found out what said in title. I'm on my throwaway account because we know each other's Reddit. I noticed her texting someone during our holiday together that I had not heard of before and asked her whom it was out of curiosity. She denied what I know I saw. That was strange that she chose to lie, and I know what I saw. So I kept at it until she finally admitted it was someone from work. According to her, it was a question about work, during our holiday, mind you. But since she was behaving very caught off guard and suspicious on her phone, I asked if there was more, and I was starting to get agitated. I asked to see the conversation to be sure if it was so innocent, but she told me she deleted it right there and then. Why the F, if it was nothing bad or work-related? Long story short, after a 4, maybe 5-hour fight and arguing, apparently he had the night before admitted to have a crush on her, and she was flattered but refused him, that she was having an emotional affair, opening up to him about things we struggled with in our relationship, but nothing else happened, she says. She said she felt horrible about talking to him about things between us and realized her mistake right away. Now, she's embarrassed, hence the continuous lying to me about what I saw and keeping it from me. This would be easier to believe if she hadn't deleted the evidence and hadn't lied or kept it from me multiple times during the fight we had. Again, embarrassment as an excuse. This bloke is married and 10 years older. She's in a relationship with me. I was just baffled. I've done everything by the book and more. She confirmed that as I've pleaded if there's something I ever did wrong. But no, nothing. Then why the F is this happening to me? Fast forward a month to the current time. I decided to give her a shot at fixing things, being devastated that the woman I thought would never do this to me did in fact do this to me. She knows I have a history with an ex that cheated multiple times on me. I still don't know for sure if anything physical ever happened between her and this coworker, and I can't make myself believe her when she swears up and down she didn't go further than what she told me, because she lied during our holiday and fight as well multiple times. Why would now be different? Why now would she be honest? And if nothing more happened, why delete the evidence to back it up? She won't back up her chat history either, because she believes it's in the past now, we need to work on fixing it. And that made me lose my collective crap. Dares to tell me to move on. The cheater says that? Then, she barely talks or answers when we talk about it, and she seems at times unfazed about how critically important this issue is and how close I am to leaving her. I'm the one constantly talking, and she just sits there, listening. Does she care at all still? She assured me this is her coping mechanism, knowing she effed up big time and takes a stance of, I'm just letting you vent and rage at me because I know I deserve it. But in my mind, it feels and looks like she doesn't care at all anymore, but she insists she loves me and wants to fix things. It's been a month, and I've yet to see anything, including proof or anything, that would help her case. Nothing. I found her diary and did the worst thing ever, some would say, but I genuinely didn't and still don't care given what pain was caused to me and the uncertainty I'm feeling about my life and future with her, as she won't talk. So I read it. Shame me for it, I don't care, nor do I regret it. It had a bit written about how she remembers the first time meeting him at the first day of introduction back in March. A big strong man in the doorway with a light shining down, who was so open about his life, how they locked eyes and started talking. She ended it with, I want to talk more, so do you. I confronted her, but she insisted it's not the way it sounds when you read it. It's just how she writes things. I asked her if she's completely lost her marbles, as it obviously reads like a romantic novel, but she goes into that cocoon of go ahead and rage, I deserve it, and then nothing comes out of it, nor a good answer or explanation. What the F happened between March and June? Am I supposed to believe nothing? What with all the uncertainty and her not cooperating at all? I barely sleep and eat anymore, so apologies if this seems like a ramble of words thrown together. I'm just not sure what to do. Is she sincere? You reckon she's honest given her way of handling it? I genuinely don't know anymore. It's like I don't know this woman. I love the woman I know. I've not done anything wrong ever, she tells me. I've given her the world and would give more and more. Always have. So why the F is this happening? Am I overreacting at all? Do I just believe her and move on together, or just move on alone? Update. First of all, I am overwhelmed with the amount of supportive comments and messages, as well as helpful wake-up calls I've gotten from some. I had confronted her with all of those comments you send through after already having gathered evidence to cover my butt. To a point, she finally caved and admitted that she did in fact cheat physically and still went behind my back with him. Apparently, he was also finalizing his divorce and, well, she was with me. Both cheaters. What a surprise. She had thought on breaking up for a while, but according to her, she didn't have the guts to do it. So she decided to let me find out, hurt me to no end, and let me end it. Been blind for 7 years. Can't still fathom she continued to lie behind my back, even as I was dealing with the worst possible feeling thanks to her. She didn't care. I kicked her out after she packed a bag, and I'm now supposed to sort out everything with her father to handle the apartment and all that. As I've got nothing else in my life, such as family, I'm moving to a friend of mine's in a neighboring country, hopefully sometime soon when everything is finalized. I still can't believe it's all over. Everything was a lie. 7 years of my life. Waste of time. I left everything behind to build a life with her and even more countries and did everything by the book and more, only to have her do this to me and end it all over some bloke she met in March. Cheaters don't change. The only win I get is that they'll eventually cheat on each other too. Just the way these people are. I'm glad I missed a bullet like some said and might have had it worse with marriage and all that. I'll find peace in that, but right now I'm completely and utterly lost. I thought this was one. Now I'm just done. Our first community reaction comes from Thrilla Duggarilla. The infidelity aside, do you really want to spend your life with someone who refuses to address major problems in your relationship? Especially major problems she actually caused? Her coping mechanism screams, "Sorry, Charlie, I don't care enough about you to actually do anything. It's your problem to deal with." Now you know that you're on your own to heal yourself, and she's not going to help you with anything, priced accordingly. Her actions tell you she's unremorseful, regardless of the words she speaks. If you want a shot at saving the relationship, you have got to show her you are willing and able to end it. And she's just a girlfriend. You'd be smart to entertain ending it. You now know she handles getting caught cheating, and it's going to be a more difficult split if there's marriage and kids involved. If you do stay with her, protect yourself and your assets. If you marry, get a prenup. Our next bit of advice comes from Cranach. She lied to you before and could easily reassure you and show to you that she isn't lying now by recovering their chats. She says that she wants to fix what she did and to work it out, but is not ready or willing to take the one and most crucial step to get exactly that done. You know that she is still lying and that you only discover the tip of the iceberg. Does it even matter to you now how much more they did? Isn't her unwillingness to reassure you, to show real remorse, and to fight for you enough to make a decision? If it isn't enough for you, then the question I would ask you is whether she plans to return to her lover at her job, or if she already told you that she will quit her job and cut her lover out of her life. You're worth so much more than to be treated this way. Our next bit of advice comes from Outlandishness Own 877. Based on what you wrote here, it is still going on, or mostly probably she is still in limbo. Now her being unfazed is because she is pretty sure you will never leave her. You need to go 180, tell her we need to separate. Most important, tell this to other man's wife. As much as you have right to know, she also needs to know, and this can only put a full stop on the affair. And please don't discuss this with your girlfriend first. She will try to protect that man and try to stop you from telling him. And since she is still working there, I am 100% sure it's going on. Check her work emails and chats. And since they are in the same office, I'm pretty sure it is full-on physical affair. I'm so sorry this happened to you, OP. I did notice that you said something interesting. You stated that it was a waste of your time. Although the situation didn't end favorably, it doesn't mean that those years and the time you spent together was a waste of time. You became the person you are today because of those years. You've learned a lot about yourself. There's a purpose for it all, unfortunately, even in the pain. Not all lessons are easy. You don't need people like that in your life. This end means a new beginning, and it's making room for much bigger, better things. Try not to put any more energy into worrying about what happens to her. Try to put good energies into the world and focus on you. Your happiness and healing is all that matters in the next little while. Give yourself time to grieve and process what happened. There's no rush. Finding a positive in emotional baggage can actually turn the negative experience into a positive, turning the baggage into a learning curve. Be kind to yourself. Build up your confidence again is going to take some time. Be so patient. You might think of yourself as damaged and that you'll never trust again, but in time, you'll realize this isn't true. We want to know how you practice self-love. Let us know below. Meanwhile, our next OP needs to take back their control. Fiance cheated and put the blame on me and my ex. Everyone feels sorry for her and asks me to forgive her. So I've been reading posts for a few days now looking for solutions to my own situation. I don't know if this is the right sub or not. I'm new to Reddit and I'm trying to find advice from people who are or have been in the same situation as me. First of all, I would like to apologize in advance for my vocabulary and my expressions. I am French and English is therefore not my native language. It has now been about 2 weeks since I discovered that my fiancée, Marie, cheated on me with her ex because, according to her, she felt insecure because of my ex, Samia. It's the dumbest excuse I've heard in my life, but the worst thing is that everyone agrees with her and pressures me to forgive her. I want to hear the opinion of people who are not concerned. I will try to give a little background. It may be long. Samia and I, it's a long story, we met when we were both 3 years old. Her mother was a nanny at home and looked after several children, including me. We were so inseparable that our mothers became friends and decided to put us in the same school. So I practically spent my entire childhood until I was 13 with Samia. We were called the Siamese twins back then. We used to argue a lot, but we were always united with the other children, which meant that we were ostracized. But we didn't care as long as we had each other. When we were 11, our family started to think it wasn't healthy and that we needed to make other friends. It was while trying to separate us that we realized that we were deeply in love with each other. But our families were very conservative. She is of Arab origin and I am of African origin, so we hid the fact of dating. Then, one night when I was 13, I made the mistake of going up to her room, which was on the first floor through her window. It was dangerous but exciting. I had done that a few times before. We were just chatting at the time and kissing sometimes, nothing else. But that day, her father opened her door without warning. He caught us kissing and tried to call the police. I tried to escape through the window. I fell, I broke my arm, all the neighbors were out, and it went scandal. The whole neighborhood talked about it. Her father never liked me. He wanted to file a complaint against me. Even if I was not risking as much at that age, it was still very humiliating for my family. My father therefore decided to send me to Africa to stay there for an indefinite period, but it was mainly to separate us. I tried to adapt to my new life. She also tried to adapt to her new life, but in the end, we had managed to keep contact. We spoke via the internet, and when I came back to France after high school, it was as if we had never left each other. We continued to date in secret, and at 20, for us it was clear that we wanted to spend the rest of our lives together. We were naive to think it was going to be that simple. We decided to tell our families, saying that we intend to get married. But for them, it was as if we had announced the apocalypse. Our respective families wanted everyone to get married in its culture. It caused a lot of tension in the neighborhood. Already, when we were little, we had made a lot of noises and everyone always talked about us and gave their opinion on our lives. It was very painful. We tried to hold on for a year. She wanted us to go and finish our studies in another city, very far from Paris and our families. But my father was sick that time. I decided to stay, and when my father died, I no longer had the strength to fight. I decided to break up, and she decided to go to another city. We had completely lost contact. I was tired of living in the neighborhood where people always talked about us. I chose to move to the student's residence of my university. It was a terrible year. I came back to see my family on the weekends, and one day at a wedding, I met Marie. She had just moved to the neighborhood with her family. We were at the same table. We had spent the evening making jokes. We told each other about our lives. I told her about Samia, and she told me about her ex. She told me that she had left her ex after 2 years of relationship because she did not want to sleep before marriage, but her ex could not hold on anymore. She told him to marry her then, but he was not ready, so she decided to end their relationship. We were two souls in pain. We had become friends over time. We went out together, but I realized that she was getting more and more irritated when I told her about Samia, so I stopped. One day she told me that she had feelings for me. I told her that I still had Samia in my heart. She told me that it wasn't an opportunity to forget her. I agreed to date her. It was weird at first to be with another woman, but eventually I got used to it and started to like her. As time passed, she became more and more jealous of Samia, but I never spoke about her again after she confessed. It was very weird as she acted that way. I lived on campus, so I didn't know what was said in the neighborhood where I came from, but apparently people were talking about my old stories with Samia, telling anecdotes here and there, the time I broke my arm trying to escape through the window, and other anecdotes. I reassured Marie by saying that was the past, but she always compared herself to Samia. It's true that Samia was very beautiful, but that was beyond my control. She blamed me for dating such a beautiful woman, yet she never saw her. Maybe in a photo? I don't know. I always told her that she was the most beautiful in my eyes because she was the one who counted now, but she always had to compare herself to Samia. If we did activities together, she asked me if I had already done it with Samia. What she couldn't stand was that I was intimate with Samia. In short, it was becoming unbearable. Despite everything, I asked her to marry me. She was from the same culture as me, so it suited my family. I did not have the strength to fight again for this kind of thing. The wedding was to take place in August, a perfect timing for me because I will have finished my studies in July. Other than her insecurity, everything seemed fine until 2 weeks ago when I got a call from a number I didn't know from a guy who introduced himself as her ex. He told me that he and Marie were still seeing each other and that they had slept together several times. I didn't believe him. I thought his ex was trying to sabotage our relationship. But he sent me the screenshots of their discussion. I told him that these things could be easily fabricated. He then asked me to meet. I wanted to warn Marie, but I told myself that I would go first. I had 2 of my friends accompany me in case he tried to trick me. Then he showed me his phone, the Marie's number, their discussions, etc. Everything was there. They saw each other for 2 months, and Marie decided to put an end to their affair a week before he contacted me. I called Marie directly. I told her that we needed to talk. At that time, oddly, I felt no anger, no positive or negative feelings. I was like a spectator watching his life in a film. A friend of mine had the good idea to ask me to record our confrontation. That's what I did. When I told her what I knew, she was shocked. She told me that it wasn't true, that the guy was trying to destroy our relationship. So I showed her the screenshots. She said the same thing I said to the guy, that it was something that could easily be made. I told her I went to see the guy, and he showed me his phone and their discussion of details about our life that he couldn't know. There, she broke down and started crying and asking me forgiveness. I was at her house in her room. Her family came in to see what was happening. I explained the situation to them. They didn't believe me. I didn't try to convince them. I left. They contacted my family before I arrived at my family's house. I explained to my mother what had happened. Apparently, Marie explained to them that it was because I was seeing Samia in secret that she did it. Apparently, Samia was back in town when I didn't even know it. Now everyone says it's because of her. Marie put herself as the victim and Samia and me as the villain. I was so angry that I decided to cut off contact with everyone. It's been 10 days since I've spoken to anyone in the neighborhood. I stayed with a friend from school, so no one knows where I am. I put my phone off and only contacted my mother on email. I also received a ton of email from Marie, but I deleted each of them without reading them. That's pretty much the story. I don't even know what I'm going to do next. Everyone asked me to forgive her, but there is no possibility for me to do so. I only feel disgust for her. But I don't know what I'm going to do or how I'm going to handle the situation. It is complicated. Any advice? I don't know, community. Do you have anything for advice? D-Save does. There's nothing complicated about your situation. She cheated. She lied to you when confronted and invented a reason to blame you. You cannot forgive her. She cannot rebuild the trust she broke. There's nothing else to say. Why do anybody else believe that they are entitled to an opinion? Live Maze 6410 chimes in with their opinion. It may be complicated from a family standpoint, as far as how you will react to them, but it's not complicated whatsoever from the standpoint of how you handle your fiancé, ex. That should be over. I can tell reading your post that you really have nothing but resentment for her and how she reacted to this and manipulated the situation. And you should, because it's abhorrent. You can try to be as gentle and congenial as you need to, given the family situation, but you should end the engagement and take some time for yourself. Our next thought comes from USAF Retired 2017. This isn't something you or Samia did. This completely lies with your, hopefully ex-fiancé. How dare she blame you for her sleeping with someone else? That's all on her and her insecurities. That being said, I wonder if you or Samia will ever be truly happy being with others. I get the culture thing to some degree, but at some point I have to wonder if being married to someone in your own culture is worth losing the love of my life. I crushed for you. First, they browbeat you into leaving Samia, and now they want you to marry a cheater? When is your happiness ever going to matter, my friend? Eek. There's some serious history there, OP. It sounds like what you need is to focus on your own happiness without worrying about what other people think. Just because people are family doesn't mean they need to have our best interests in mind. The only person who knows what's best for us is ourselves. You shouldn't have to go back to a cheater because people are telling you to and manipulating you into thinking you're in the wrong. Really think about what you like to do. What things bring joy to your life? And when you don't have to consider anyone's preferences. What books, movies, and activities are you drawn to when no one's watching? As children, we're constantly taught to share and be selfless. But this pattern makes us forget about putting ourselves first and somehow makes us feel that self-care is selfish. Self-care may be one of those terms that has a broad meaning universally, while having a very specific meaning to an individual. Keeping it simple, self-care is whatever recharges your batteries, helps you celebrate your authentic, magnificent self, and helps you feel at your mental and physical best. Taking care of yourself also helps you make healthier connections to others once you understand how to get fulfilled, OP. And as always, thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Also, please